Welcome to this interview with Joakim Åberg, Project Manager of the Year, who won the award that is set by the Swedish Project Academy. So a warm welcome to you, Joakim.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And my name is Mats Ragnarsson, and I'm a member of the Swedish Project Academy. So Joakim, how does it feel to have this prestigious award?
It feels great, to say at least. Very, very exciting to win this award.
And I think you have an official diploma that you can show.
Yes.
We know you're the right person.
I have the official diploma from the Swedish Project Academy. It's a very nice diploma.
Congratulations, Joakim. So maybe you could first just tell us a bit about the project you got the award for, and then we will go into the leadership part.
Absolutely. I will be pleased to do that. So I'm going to present a presentation describing the project a little bit. Okay, here we have it. So the Vegas project. The Vegas project was to procure and roll out new video lottery terminals all around Sweden. And it's a project within Svenska Spel. And Svenska Spel is the state lottery owned by the Swedish government. And our vision is we want gaming to be pleasurable for everyone. We don't want to have any players that end up in a bad place due to gaming, basically. And Svenska Spel have a monopoly and a mission from the Swedish government to provide land-based gaming machines all around Sweden. And the reason is basically that we don't want to have any illegal machines around Sweden. And we have our Vegas at approximately 1,400 venues within restaurants and bingo halls. And we are a world leader in responsible gaming. That's a bold statement, but I stand for that. And in the picture, you can see how it can look at one of our venues where we have our VLTs. A VLT is a video lottery terminal. It's basically a lottery ticket that you buy, and then we can present that lottery ticket as spinning wheels, a wheel game, or a real game that it's actually called. It could be a poker game or a number game like Keno, for instance. And all the games are random, so it's always the chance of winning that decides if you win or not. And our VLTs have one of the aspects that we have focused a lot on is our responsible gaming tools that we have implemented in our VLTs, our machines. Where you have all the necessary information around the games, all necessary information. You can of course set your own personal limits. We don't suggest any limits for our players. You have all your history, so you can see all your gameplay. You can do a self-test to assess if you have if there is a risk to experience a gambling problem. We do nudge our players with different types of pop-up messages. You've been playing for an hour, maybe it's time for a break. Maybe you should go take a coffee or something like that. We also do risk assessments based on your player behavior. We assess the risks of experience or developing a riskful behavior, and we present that to the players, making sure that they have relevant information and not building up any problem behavior, basically. We have a whole variety of different self-exclusion where you can take a break from our VLTs, everything from 24 hours up to 3 years. We have a lot of messages within the machines, and if we still don't see that it has an effect on the players, we do send out letters to the players where we inform them of what we see and that we would like to have contact with them. We also have motivational interventions where we call our players and have an interview, a discussion around their behavior to see if there is something they need to adjust, or at least consider adjusting, so they don't become riskful players. And if they do that, I mean, then playing games is not a pleasure for everyone. If they do it, if they build a problem behavior, basically.
Okay. So I was thinking, you talked about this safe gaming. How big is that in the world, and what's our position in that field?
As I said, I think we're the world leader. We're competing against the Nordic countries, the Scandinavian countries. Currently, I say that we are the number one in the world, and that is basically based on the risk assessment. That's a tool that no one else has. Around the world, many are looking specifically at Sweden because we are driving this journey around the world. Stuff that we implemented many years ago is becoming the base standard, like setting your limits, having access to your history and stuff like that. But we are continuing to developing these tools along the way, making sure that we don't. We want the player to be in control of their gameplay.
All right. So when you see the machine, you could argue that it looks to be a limited scope at least, but I know this is a fairly big project in Svenska Spel. So can you give us an indication, about the investment and also how many members that were involved and so?
Yeah, so this project was Svenska Spel's largest investment ever. So it was quite a large project. We had a budget of between 500 and 1,000 million Swedish kroner, which is a substantial amount of money. And we, from Svenska Spel, we were about 60 members in our project team. It varied over time depending on which phase we were in. And we were distributed over three locations. So we have our main office in Visby. We have an office in Stockholm. In Stockholm, we actually had the most project members, and we also had an office in Gothenburg where we had a team that primarily worked with responsible gaming tools.
Okay, and how many sub-projects did you have then?
That varied over time. The project started with a procurement of this according to the Public Procurement Act, which is EU legislation. So during that time, we had different sub-projects depending on, was it software requirements, hardware requirements, or user experience. Then we went into the development phase. Then, of course, we had a development sub-project for our IT resources. We had the operational test where the users, the actual end users, tested the whole solution. Then we had a sub-project for that. And then we had a rollout project where we're supposed to distribute all of these VLTs to all our venues and retailers around Sweden. And they are 1,400 places all around Sweden.
All right. And if I understand correctly, you had a supplier or a subcontractor in US who actually built the machine.
Yes, it's a North American company called IGT, and they were also distributed all around the world with their resources. So they had their main project manager or program. They ran this as a program. We called it a project. Same from my perspective. He was based in the US. We had development in Canada, in Poland. We had people in Austria, and a lot of other places. So it was a distributed organization also on their side as well, which is kind of challenging sometimes with time zones and so on.
Okay. So thanks, Joakim. So if you stop sharing, maybe we can dig into the leadership parts a bit, which is actually what the award was about. The project manager of the year, not the project of the year, but usually they are tied together somehow.
They are usually tied together.
So my first question is, going with the project management fundamentals, how do you plan a project like this, the biggest Svenska Spel ever has encountered?
Well, my approach to this is that you can't really plan everything. So there isn't this optimal Gantt chart that you can build based on this. So what I tend to do is I tend to have a very, very simple plan based on milestones and goals. Where are we supposed to be at a specific time, and what does that goal actually mean? So I had a Gantt chart with maybe 15 rows in it. Which phase are we in? What are the milestones, tollgates, and different goals along this journey? So It was a very, very, very simple planning from that perspective. But then, of course, within each sub-project, they needed to do more detailed planning. They needed to have checklists, making sure that everything was taken care of according to the requirements and so on.
Yeah, and milestones. Then, how did you work with this? That it's kind of easy to define them in a vague way, so you don't know if you're ready or not.
Yeah, but that's always a challenge to make sure that a milestone is understood by everyone. So yes, you can describe it in a way, but then you often need to discuss it. And what we did was we just discussed it within the project team a number of times, making sure that everyone understood what it meant for them. Because for the project as a whole, a milestone could be development is done, we're going to start testing. Okay, then what is the definition of done, development done? So we needed to make sure that everyone understood what it actually meant.
And I guess it's the same with tests later, that
it's
you could argue if the test is the result is good enough.
Absolutely, and what we did was we prioritized all our defects, making sure that the critical defects, of course, we needed to take care of those. Some minor defects like a spelling error, or we don't really like the look of this, that's not exactly how we intended it to look, but we can still go live and launch and go live with this product, and we can fix that later. So we used with different priorities and making sure that, yes, this is what we need to do to actually go live. Minimum viable product was something that we discussed, but we have a very, very high standard with quality. So minimum viable product was still very, very good.
Okay. So you had a supplier then, or a subcontractor doing a lot of work, and a lot of them wants to have everything set in stone from start and do the work on their own and then deliver. And I guess in this case you needed more to co-develop. So how did you work with that then?
We initially when we started creating the joint project plan here, it was exactly as you described. They wanted to have all the requirement details specified so that they could develop according to that and then come and deliver a product that we were supposed to finally test. And we had too many requirements. I mean, we had 800 pages of requirements within this procurement that they needed to fulfill for us to sign off on the project delivery. So we actually had to start working more in a more agile way, making sure that we have enough information so they can start working, start developing, and then we can continue with the requirement specifications here.
Yeah. So normally it's also a question about timing, between the subcontractors' plans and our plans to make the whole work. How was it in your case?
Well, we did get some new legal requirements during this project because this project was so long. So we did get the new money laundering legislation from EU, and we also got a new gaming law within Sweden, which extended the project. Or actually, we got a whole bunch of new requirements, which was quite challenging because we needed to deploy these new machines out on the market before 2020, the start of 2020, the old VLTs we had on the market, they would not be compliant according to the new legislation. And when our contractor built their plan based on all of these extended requirements, we saw that we could actually start rollout in mid 2020. And that wouldn't have worked for us. So we needed to do something else, basically, if we were going to make this project at all.
So what did you do then?
It was a lot of negotiations along the way, constant negotiations. We needed to find an improved way to actually work closer to each other. Since we had these new requirements, we needed to discuss them together. When they develop their requirement, they normally after that they want to test it before they deliver it to us, so we can do the final testing. Instead of that, we actually tried to do the testing together. We did a joint test instead of that, where we could cut a lot of time, saving a lot of time during this project, which was very successful in the end.
Okay, and what was their initial response to that idea then?
Well, they didn't really like it because that was in violation with their project model and their delivery model and so on. So it took some persuasion to actually get them there. But of course, they felt the pressure to get this out on the market. If we couldn't get it out on the market in time, we would need to close our whole business, and that would be devastating. And they didn't want to be the reason to that. So of course they felt that pressure.
So how do they feel about it afterwards now then?
Today I think they are very pleased with it, and we have actually continued using a lot of those methods where we can discuss the requirements instead of us telling the supplier this is how it should be. We always have to take into consideration their system. So we present what we want to do, and together we can come up with a plan of how are we going to build this, and then we can also test it together, especially during the IT integration test. It's a lot easier to test that together rather than just testing against the specification. If there's any misunderstanding in a specification, it's not going to work when we actually integrate the systems.
Okay, so you already said the word prolonging, you prolong the project. So
yes.
if I mean you got an award for a product that ran quite late.
Yes, that's one way. And words are important because we weren't late because we extended the project. We had more scope within the project, and as soon as we changed the project scope, we need to redefine our timeline, and then we prolong the project to be able to meet that new scope.
Yeah, and if I understand you correctly, that was kind of not new regulations for the market.
Yes, that was the new regulation, and we had to do all the new regulation to be compliant. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to deploy this solution out on the market. So we really had to do it. It was no nice to have requirements. It was legal binding requirements.
So how far had you come when this occurred in the first project setup?
We were very close to start our final testing. So the IT development was almost completed when we saw the actual requirements based on the anti-money laundering requirements. And when we were almost complete with those, the Swedish government, they passed a new legislation, a new gaming law within Sweden, which added a whole bunch of new additional requirements on top of what we already had built. So we had two massive impacts on our timeline here.
Okay. And of course, that increased the scope then in a way that you had to do it. So it was nothing that you could say, no, we skipped that part.
Exactly. So we definitely had to do it.
Yeah. And then I was thinking about the reception of the project team, when this happened, because you come fairly far, and then somebody, pulls the carpet from beneath you somehow.
Yes, that's it is challenging because I mean you can always see the end goal. You can see the goal line. It's close now. We're gonna make this, and then someone just moves it beyond the horizon. It felt like. So it was a lot of lost energy at that time. The first extension we had that was only 5.5 months. That was manageable. But then we had the other one which extended almost 17 months with the development, and then we were definitely beyond the horizon. So
yeah,
it was a lot of lost energy during that time. It felt like we were in the same place.
How did you work with that then? That suddenly the energy is drained?
Yeah, the energy. So we started to working with all the team members' energy, and how can we make them happier, make them more energized, and we also wanted to make sure that we could see the progress that we're actually taking. Because if you extend the project this long, it feels like you're stuck in the same place the whole time. We're writing the requirements, someone is developing, and we're starting testing that, and it's all over. It's just the same all over again for an endless time. So what we did was we invented a way to highlight progress during the project. So we had these balls that we, as soon as someone had a progress of some sort, it could be something small, something big, something that had been a challenge for them over a long time, and finally they cracked this problem. Then they took a ball, they wrote on that ball, okay, this was the achievement, the date and the name. And then they presented that to the project team, so everyone could say, "Oh, great! Finally, we've heard you talking about this challenge for so long. Finally, you were able to fix that." So they got energy from the whole project team on that. Then they placed this in a bucket, and when the bucket was full, we had a celebration. So then we took all the balls out of this bucket and we read them out loud and said, yes, all of these achievements, large and small, we have done along the way. We are actually making progress every day within the project. So we could boost morality within the team.
And then I also know we discussed that you also worked with coaching of you and your sub-project managers. Can you share some more highlight on that? Yes.
So we had a coach, a management coach that could coach our management skills, which was very, very good. It was a way where I could say, okay, these are the challenges I see. I could discuss how I was gonna mitigate those challenges or approach those challenges, and get help. Have you considered doing that? What would happen if you would do this? And you can find your own way to deal with any challenges. And it was a very good forum for me to be able to test my ideas before I actually go out and test it on my project team. Very, very successful. And this was also provided for the sub-project managers as well. So because they are also managers, they are project leaders for a team, making sure that they contribute to the project as a whole.
Yeah. And then I think you also did some new thinking about the quality assurance part, the QA part of the project.
Yes, that's actually where this coaching actually began, because I wanted to have normally within large projects we do audits on those projects, making sure that we comply with all the project models, etc., doing the projects as we are supposed to. And that then you get a report, an audit report, which is a retrospect of these are all the things that didn't actually work. These are something that you should have improved back then. But it's a little bit too late then, because it's already happened. We already passed that challenge. So I wanted to have a quality assurance role that helped me to look further ahead. these are my strategies, and help to see, are those strategies, do they have potential to be successful or not?
Yep.
So we actually try to imagine, okay, what's going to happen down the road when we're moving between two phases? Do we have enough information? Does everyone know what definition of done, so we can actually close one phase? Do they know what's going to happen in the next phase, how they are going to transition their work, and start working with that? So we could play out what's going to happen in the project very long ahead before it actually had happened. And we reviewed everything that's within a normal project model, like governance modeling, document handling, reporting, financing. I mean, everything that is seen within a normal project model. And we made sure that, okay, these tools, are they going to help us? Are they going to be enough? Are they too complicated? Can we simplify them? Stuff like that. Making sure that we do good things along the way, the whole way.
And it sounds like then to have such a quality assurance person, they have to have a rather high level of project competence or project experience, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, so we were able to find a person that was an experienced project manager who also worked as an assessor for IPMA.
Yeah.
Evaluating, assessing different project managers. So she was a very experienced and very qualified person for that. And that was a key success here. But then again, it always it takes a lot of guts from yourself as a project manager to open up and say, okay, these are the challenges I see. And that's where the coaching became so vital here. And the more I opened up, the more feedback I could get, and the more I could improve my management skills, and I could grow as a manager. So that was it was a win-win situation where we just got better and better along the way.
And talking about growing, I also know you had these positive feedback sessions in the project. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah. So whenever we had a working session, it could be a conference or something like that, we always ended that conference session with a feedback session. It could be if we had 20 participants in that conference. In the end, we would sit in a ring and everyone would give everyone else positive feedback. It could be a word, a sentence, but something that is positive for that person. And then we always wrote those feedback down, so everyone got a note with 20 positive words about yourself. And that was very successful because everyone, you could see them absorbing all of this energy and this positive energy. So they were energized when they got back to work and ready to take on the next challenge here.
And what happened with those notes afterwards then?
You can see them on the participants' desks. They have them on the walls. So on a rainy day, they can look at those and say, today is a rainy day, but I'm actually very, very good, and I can feel good about this, and they can find new energy in that.
So as I understand it, and it was also a way to get feedback from participant to participant and not just from leader to participant.
Yes. So everyone gave everyone feedback. So I gave all my project participants feedback. They gave me feedback and they gave each other feedback. And we really got an environment of providing or giving each other feedback, which was very good. So we could always boost each other. If you saw someone who were feeling a little bit down because they had a challenge or something, everyone was there trying to push them, giving them feedback. Well, you're a good person. You have accomplished this. You can do this, and help lifting them.
Okay. So finally then, how far has the project come today?
We deployed our last development in April 2020, where we implemented Swish electronic payment solution, which we were the first company in the world to be able to pay back from a company to a private person. And that was done in April, as I said. After that, we had some leftovers from the project. There's usually a little list. We call it a punch list that we had to deliver so that we could actually close the whole project. And that list has been completely delivered. So we don't have any leftovers. We don't have anything left in the project. So everything that we intended to deliver when we started the project has also been delivered. And that's quite amazing, I would say.
It's great to hear you, Joakim. So once again, thanks for the possibility to have this dialogue, and once again for the fantastic award, Project Manager of the Year 2020.
Thank you very much. Thank you.